Hello YouTube. Welcome to my February wrap-up video. Basically, I'm just going to be talking about all the books that I read in February and my thoughts about them, my feelings about them, and February in review. That's what I'm going to call this video. And I know that you read the title, so you would know that. I am going to be starting off with, well, here, let me just show you the stack of, this is a stack of physical books that I read. I honestly feel like the books I read off of my physical TBR are kind of lame. Like, I'm like looking at this stack of books and I'm like, ew. Like, I don't think it was a bad month of reading. I read 15 books. So it wasn't a bad month of reading. It was just, like, looking back, I'm like, none of these were really that special. But I did read about 8 books on my Kindle. Because I just happened to get Kindle Unlimited this month. So I just was like, every book on Kindle Unlimited I'm gonna read. That's not what happened, but I read 7 of them. 8, oh my gosh, somebody help me. Starting off, I read this wonderful number, which is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman, which is a book about a woman who works a regular job, has a very boring life, does the same thing every single day. And it's obviously literary fiction. So basically the main character, Eleanor, you start out with her and learning about her and her life, and then there is a love story that slowly emerges. There's a lot of uncomfortable things that are brought up. Her relationship with her mom is very uncomfortable, and the author really dives into that. I gave this book actually a 5-star. So this was the start of the month. I started out with a 5-star read, which was great news because it put me right away into the reading mood. Okay, when I first started it, I hated it. I was like, I hate this character. Eleanor is so annoying, so awkward, and so strange that I just did not feel connected to her at all. Even a month later, now me talking about this book, I can remember everything about it. And by the end of the book, I was laying in bed at 3 a.m. finishing it because I had to know how it ended. And I had to know what happened to Eleanor. And I was just so invested in her as a person. And the character development was amazing, just astonishing. So I think that was it. I just became so involved in her life. And I just wanted her to be successful in the end. And it was just a great story. So I definitely recommend reading this book. If you like literary fiction, that's not your cup of tea, then obviously do not go for it. Because it's very, I wouldn't say it's contemporary, but I think it's very possible it's contemporary. Okay, moving right along, or this video is going to be 10 years long. I then read The Vanishing Stair, which is the third in the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson. And I think out of the 3, so I read the first one in January, and I think out of the 3, this one was my favorite. The most happens in this one. Now, I can't really talk about it much other than without giving away spoilers since it's the second in the series, but basically the Truly Devious series is about a school that was founded by a very rich man who wanted to create a school for extraordinary children and very smart children. And there was a murder that happened when the school first opened, and that involves him and his family. And pretty much we go back and forth between 2 timelines. So we go back and forth between that timeline when the school first opened, and then we come into the present time where we have a main character named Stevie, who is a detective student, or she's a student who is very into detective work. And she's been following the case that happened years ago to this rich family. And she is basically in the middle of a case herself at school, this amazing school that she's in. And I liked the atmosphere of these books. They're YA mystery. So this is my first YA mystery, and it was a good start to that. It was a good beginner. So if you're looking to get into YA mystery at all, I would definitely recommend this series because it was lighthearted, easy to read. I finished them all. I think I finished in like 2 days, and I really enjoyed it. So then, and it's actually like, it's not scary to me, but it is like, I'm like on the edge of my seat. Like, I want to know what happens. I want to know if she solves the mystery or like, who done it. But anyways, then I went on to The Hand on the Wall, which is the third one. So same kind of concept. And I liked the ending of this book. I liked how the story all wrapped up. And I rated both of those. I think I rated this a 4. And I think I rated this a 3. But I think I would rate both of them a 3 now that I'm looking back. Because a 3 is a good rating for me. Like, average, good book, enjoyed it. I'm trying to be a more exclusive rater. That makes no sense. Trying to be a more harsh rater. Because I just used to give out 5 stars, and then I would look back and be like, that is not a 5-star. Okay, Then I went on to this book, Alone with You in the Ether. Looking back on this book, I'm like, what was I thinking? But while I was reading it, I liked it. Basically, Alone with You in the Ether is Olivia Blake's romance book. I don't know if she's ever read any romance books. She's famous because she wrote The Atlas Six, which I'm sure you've heard of. This is a romance book that she wrote. Now, at the end, I read the acknowledgement. She wrote this book when she was struggling with bipolar disorder. She was like struggling with her mental health, and she wrote this book like while she was manic, I want to say. So, and when I read that at the end, I almost wish I had known that before I read this book because it makes a lot of sense. It reads like it was wrote by somebody who was manic. So it makes a lot of sense. It is very hard to follow. It's very hard to understand what you are actually reading and what the writer was trying to convey to you because it is such thick writing. Like the language is so thick. But okay, so when I started out this book, I was like, but I liked the characters. I'm not gonna lie. The characters were very intriguing. Like I felt like I hadn't met them before. So it's about a girl who is struggling, I think, with her own bipolar disorder. Yes. Or some kind of mental illness. Yes, she is bipolar, and she meets a guy who is kind of quirky, very unique. He's very mathematical, very linear, very logical, and she is the opposite. She is up and down, highs and lows, artist type, very thinks of the world in colors, and then this guy that she meets is the opposite. So anyways, it's just about their love story and how they fall in love and the things that they go through. And it's a little bit messy and it's a little bit uncomfortable at times because they both are struggling with mental illness. It's not an easy read by any means. Now, I haven't read The Atlas Six by Olivia Blake, so I don't know what her other writing is like. But knowing that she wrote this when she was manic makes a lot of sense. And I think that I did give it a 4 stars, and I'm going to stick with this 4 stars because looking back, it was a good book for me. Like, it made sense for me, but I don't think I would ever recommend this to anybody else. If I met you on the street, I would not recommend this book to you. Then, right along on Valentine's Day, I read The Do-Over by Lynn Painter, which is the book that she released, I want to say, at the end of 2022, maybe. But yes, this is a little cutesy love story about a girl who is reliving Valentine's Day over and over because her first Valentine's Day that she lived was really bad, and it felt like she was getting a second chance. So she was pretty much rewriting her Valentine's Day story over and over again. And she ends up creating feelings with this guy, and it's about their story. And I liked this book. It felt repetitive of Better Than the Movies by her, which is the book that most people know Lynn Painter by. And I picked this up because it is a Valentine's Day romance, and I wanted to read one on Valentine's Day, and I liked Better Than the Movies. I think I even rated it a 5-star. So I was looking forward to reading this, and I felt like there was some repetitive aspects. Like, the main girl character is pretty much the same person in my head as the girl from Better Than the Movies. So, not a lot of change. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of people like books by authors that just kind of write the same thing over and over. If it ain't broken, don't fix it, kind of thing. I get that. But I don't know if I enjoyed that because these 2 stories ended up running together in my mind because I read Better Than the Movies in January, and they both kind of feel the exact same. So yeah, 4 stars. Maybe even a 3. Sorry, I think I gave it a 3-star. Yeah, I think I gave it a 3-star. It was a cute Valentine's Day book. If you didn't read it this Valentine's Day, then I recommend reading it next Valentine's Day. That's all I'll say. Foul Lady Fortune. I picked this up and I tried to read it for literally 12 days. Now, it is a thick book. I think it's like 500 pages. Yes, it's 500 pages. So this I picked up because it's a pink cover, and it was February. So I picked this up because I wanted to read it before the set of novellas come out by Chloe Gong, which are called The Last Violent Call. So those are out right now. I actually just bought it. So I wanted to read Foul Lady Fortune before I read those because Last Violent Call is on my list of 23 new books to read in 2023. So this is basically a story about an assassin named Fortune who was injected with a serum that gave her supernatural abilities. So she doesn't sleep, she heals really quickly, and she doesn't age. Okay, so those are her 3 things. And she is basically an assassin for the government that's in power currently. So this is set in 1930s. So there's currently a power struggle going on in Shanghai, which is where this book is set. She is put undercover and she's asked to do this task, and a bunch of things start spiraling from there. There's murders that start happening, and she meets this guy, and anyways, the twist at the end of this book I did like, but it took almost 500 pages to get to that freaking twist, and I struggled through all of them. Not because this book wasn't good, it was just because it felt boring to me, and I was coming off of reading all these books on my Kindle that were so intriguing and like so easy to read and so fast paced that this was hard for me to read. Now, I feel like if I had read this around the time that I read the other books this month, then I wouldn't have felt this way. But there was just other books I was wanting to read, because I'll talk about this next, but I started the Twisted series, which if you read that series, you know what I'm talking about. You can't stop. It's just too good. So yeah, I basically took a long time to read this book. Now, I did rate it 4 stars because I really liked it once I finished it. Like, I think Chloe Gong is a really good writer. I like her writing. So if you are intrigued by this story, I think you definitely should go for it. Don't expect to be sucked in right away. That was at least my perspective. I know some people might have been, but not me so much. So yeah, moving right along to the Kindle. So first off, I started out with the Mindfuck series, and I read it because these 2 YouTubers that I follow, Sarah Shelves and Read with Lexi, did a readathon, a 24-hour readathon where they read that series, and I wanted to do it with them. So I didn't do the whole 24 hours, but I did read it with them that day. So I read the whole 5 books in one day. Now, granted, they are kind of shorter books, so it wasn't like I read 5 like full-size books, if that makes sense. Okay, I read all 5 of them that day, and basically the series is not at all what I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be a book that was just all smut. That's not what it was. And I actually really liked it, because it gives off such strong Criminal Mind vibes. And I used to watch that show growing up, and it is so good. I love that show, and I love serial killer profiles or serial killer profilers. I love them. Like, they are so intriguing to me, and that whole concept is so interesting, and like how they catch criminals like that. So cool. She's in love with a profiler, and she's a serial killer. Like, are you kidding me? Mind blown. So I wouldn't say the writing was amazing, and I wouldn't say that it wasn't a lot of smut, because it was, but the other storyline going on with the smut was so good for me. Like, it was exactly what I wanted. So if you liked Criminal Minds and you watched Criminal Minds, then definitely try these books. I won't guarantee that you'll like them, but I think you should give it a good shot, because it was everything I needed from a book like that, or a series like that. And I liked the ending, and I think those kind of books can get, like, because it is such a controversial idea, like a morally great character, the ending can kind of be like disappointing for some. But I was happy with it, and I think the whole concept that the reader tugs with is you know, is she a good person? Is she a bad person? And I liked that. I felt like the whole time I was wondering where the author was going to take it, because I didn't know how the author really felt about that character herself. So if I wouldn't have seen those 2 YouTubers doing a readathon, I probably wouldn't have read those books. But I'm really happy I did. So those were the first ones I read on the Kindle. So that's why I got Kindle Unlimited, was to read those books. And then, you know, I just kept the ball rolling, and I started the Twisted series. So I read the first 3 in February. I read Twisted Love, Twisted Games, and Twisted Hate. And my controversial opinion about these books is that Twisted Hate was my favorite. Now, I haven't read Twisted Lies yet. That is on my March TBR, which I will be posting a video about here soon. But I definitely liked Twisted Hate the best. I know everyone that I've seen talk about these books loves Twisted Games. Like, people don't even really talk about Twisted Love. I kind of like Twisted Love. I think I gave it a 3-star. Twisted Games, I also gave a 3-star. And Twisted Hate, I gave a 4-star. I was like, oh, I love Bridget. I loved Reese. Like, so cute. I didn't like the age gap for some reason. That was strange to me, because her character didn't seem like somebody who would be dating an older guy in my head. Like, how I pictured her being. Like, I could have pictured the character from the first book date an older guy. So that was like my controversial opinion about those books, but I really like them, and I'm excited for Twisted Lies because I know people like it as much as they liked Twisted Games. I think what I liked the most about Twisted Hate was the slightly toxic aspect of it, and I am somebody who does enjoy a toxic romance every now and then. I'm not like obsessed with that. And obviously I can read like Lynn Painter's books and enjoy them because I can also appreciate a healthy, like sweet romance book. But I do not stray away from a toxic love story. Let me tell you, I like messy. Even though I'm in a healthy, happy 2-year-long relationship. So maybe I don't really like messy, but I do like to read about it. I am happy with my progress that I made this month. I felt like I knocked out a lot of books that I wanted to read. I didn't read. On my February TBR, I had the Cruel Prince series, and I never ended up reading that. But that was the only part of my TBR I didn't actually get to, and I read a lot more than I thought I was going to with the Twisted series and the Mindfuck series. So overall, it was a very successful month, and I'm happy that I had so much time to read, and I was so blessed that I was given the free time to do that. So this month, I think it's gonna be a lot busier. I only read one book this month, and it's the 7th. So, because I had a super busy week last week. So I'm not off to a great start, which breaks my heart. But lots more good reads coming up, and I'm excited to keep posting lots of videos and vlogs. I'm gonna be posting vlogs. I'm trying to do like a weekly vlog every week or every other week. I'm gonna start posting those soon, and just keep your eye out. Because I also, if I'm feeling comfortable, I might start doing sprints. And if you're anything like me, reading sprints are the only way I can read, pretty much. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got some good recommendations. Alrighty, peace out.